Fellas, Adesanya's had quite a chaotic 2023. Started off the year by knocking out his massive rival in Alex Pereira, sleeping him brutally and getting one of the best knockouts of the year. And then he heads into a fight with Strickland that was supposed to be an easy fight for Adesanya. It was supposed to be a winnable fight, an easy defense for his belt. And then he ends up losing that dominantly. And now he's in this weird spot where no one knows what he's going to do next. He stated that he's going to take a break, but no one knows how long that break's going to be. No one knows when he's coming back or what state the UFC is going to be when he comes back. So I thought of 3 matchups that I think would make sense for Adesanya to come back on. 3 exciting matchups, 3 fights that are big, not exactly easy fights. I don't think any of these are easy fights for Adesanya, but I thought of 3 matchups that I think Adesanya could come back on to potentially get a massive comeback win. Because Adesanya, I've noticed that he's always more dangerous when he's not defending a belt. For some reason, he's way more dangerous when he's not defending a belt. So I think these could be, winnable fights for Adesanya, but not necessarily easy. Starting off with the first matchup, I've got Khamzat Chimaev. I think this is one of the biggest non-title fights you can possibly make. Excluding McGregor, I can't really think of any bigger non-title fight you can make in the UFC. You've got a rising star in Khamzat Chimaev, who's taken the UFC by storm, undefeated. People predict him that he's going to be champion one day. And he's also a stylistic nightmare for Adesanya, a guy who can, out-grapple Adesanya like it's nothing, because Adesanya struggled grappling. Well, not really struggled, but he's used to grappling with people like Brunson and Vettori. So to get a guy as dangerous as Khamzat Chimaev, that's an exciting fight right there. And Adesanya, I think it's a fight that would excite him. You've got Khamzat Chimaev, a guy that's, a winnable fight for him as well. Like I said, in the first few rounds, it's very favourable to Khamzat Chimaev because he looked great in the first round against Usman. And in my opinion, Usman's got way better grappling than Adesanya. So if Khamzat Chimaev's able to get Adesanya down and potentially find a submission, that'll be a statement-making win for Chimaev. But in Adesanya's defence, we've seen in multiple fights that when it gets past the first or second round, Khamzat Chimaev is not the same guy. And I'm assuming this is going to be a 5-rounder, like a main event for a pay-per-view that's just not got a title fight on. And when it gets past the second round, we've seen that Khamzat Chimaev really starts to struggle with stamina. Adesanya's been 5 rounds multiple times. He's used to going the distance. So Adesanya could be able to, take advantage of this, pick him apart, and potentially even finish Khamzat Chimaev in the later rounds due to the stamina issues that he has. There's still people saying that Usman would beat Khamzat Chimaev if it was a 5-rounder, and Adesanya's got a chance to beat him. So I feel like it's a good fight for Adesanya to come back on maybe mid-2024. And if he gets a win over a rising star in Khamzat Chimaev, then that could give him an immediate title shot after that, which is, I'm sure, what Adesanya wants. So we can take a break, come back against Khamzat Chimaev, and I think it's a good win. And then from Khamzat Chimaev's perspective, listen, it's his biggest fight yet. Israel Adesanya, a former champion, not only just a former champion, but a defending champion as well. A big, massive fight for Khamzat Chimaev. And if he beats Adesanya, without a doubt, he deserves a chance at the middleweight belt, because people were saying that he deserved a title shot after the Usman win, but in my opinion, he still needs another win. So let's do Khamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman. Big fight for the fans. Makes sense for both of them. Winnable for both of them. So I've got Khamzat Chimaev and Usman for one of the biggest non-title fights. And the next fight, now this next fight's going to be quite controversial. I've got Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira 3. I know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, why would this get made? Listen, Adesanya's coming off a loss. We've got people like Jamal, Hill and Ankalaev and whatever. But first of all, when you look at the light heavyweight contenders, Ankalaev's about to fight. And I'm sure he deserves a title fight. But let's be honest, we want to see Adesanya versus Pereira 3 over Ankalaev versus Pereira. On top of that as well, I'm not sure if Hill's actually able to fight. I think he's going through legal trouble right now. So I don't even know if Hill's available to fight. Adesanya, you can kind of argue that, listen, Adesanya's last win was against Pereira. He brutally knocked him out, so it's a good chance of Pereira getting his get back for the belt at light heavyweight. Pereira's welcomed into the division, and I'm sure he wants to get a get back on Adesanya for knocking him out in the last fight. And then from Adesanya's perspective, it's a chance for him to not settle the score, but, well, technically, he can settle the score, because in MMA, and I know in kickboxing, it's 3-1 to Pereira. Pereira's winning the rivalry, but if we do it strictly MMA, it's 1-1 right now. And if Adesanya can somehow beat Pereira in the trilogy and make it 2-1, Adesanya's technically, in MMA, beating Pereira when it comes to the whole score situation. And on top of that, he did knock him out in his last fight. I don't know if that's going to have any mental, I'm not going to say damage, but that's going to have a mental effect on Alex Pereira. I don't think it will, but there's always the chance it did, because, listen, Adesanya knocked you out in your last fight. maybe that could happen. But no, big fight for Adesanya as well. It's a title fight as well. He's tried going at light heavyweight before and he couldn't get it. So what better way to get the light heavyweight belt by getting it against a guy, one of your biggest rivalries ever. And the beef has already started again on Twitter recently against a guy like Alex Pereira for the light heavyweight belt. And I feel like this massive fight for Adesanya, big chance to get another win over Pereira. And obviously for Pereira's perspective, if he goes out there and flatlines Adesanya, which he could very well do because it's a light heavyweight, which is more of a, Pereira doesn't have to go through the brutal weight cut. And if Pereira's able to, flatline Adesanya, then he's kind of settled the rivalry once and for all. I mean, it'll be 2-1 in MMA to Pereira, and the most recent fight Pereira would have won. Adesanya fans can't really cling on the fact that Adesanya knocked him out before, so it's a big fight for both of them. Does it really make sense? Not necessarily, but I still think it's a massive fight, and I think it would excite Adesanya a lot. And then the final fight I've got for Adesanya is the loser of Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. I'll talk about Sean Strickland first. So if Sean Strickland was to lose to Dricus du Plessis, I wouldn't mind Sean Strickland versus Adesanya 2 at all. It's a massive, massive fight, and I feel like the stakes will be even higher for this fight because the first time they fought, the whole discussion was that Sean Strickland, he's not going to have a chance against Adesanya. Adesanya is going to put him out there quickly, and then we'll move on. Whereas now that Strickland's beaten him once, I feel like there'd be a lot of contrasting views. People might think that it was a fluke, and, maybe Adesanya will be able to beat him in the rematch. People might think, listen, Strickland beat him for 5 rounds straight. There was no fluke knockout. People might think that, Strickland's going to beat him again. So it's a massive fight for both of them, a big non-title fight, and it's a great way for the winner of them, for the winner of Strickland and Strickland and Adesanya to get a title shot again from that, or maybe a number 1 contender fight. So I feel like that's a massive, massive rematch, and I'd love to see their build up again. And more importantly, if Dricus du Plessis loses, we finally get to see the rivalry of Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis that we've been waiting to see for months. We were expecting to see this one soon. We were expecting Adesanya to beat Strickland, and then once Dricus du Plessis had beaten Whittaker, and after they had the face-off, then we'd be able to see Dricus du Plessis versus Adesanya in one of the biggest middleweight rivalries we've had. But it doesn't look like it's going that way right now because Adesanya's lost and he's not going to get a title shot immediately from nothing. So if we see Dricus lose, I think it's the perfect time to do Adesanya versus Dricus. Again, a fight that would excite Adesanya because of the rivalry that he's got with Dricus du Plessis. And from Dricus du Plessis' perspective, he's getting a big fight against one of the biggest stars in the UFC in Adesanya. And the winner can maybe get a rematch in a title fight against Strickland. So I feel like both of these a massive fight for Adesanya. He's had rivalries in the past. He's already lost to Strickland, so it's a good chance to get another win. And for Dricus, the rivalry, we need to see it. It's a massive rivalry, and it looks like it's not going to happen at this rate. So if Dricus loses, I pray that we get to see this matchup because I really want to see this matchup between Dricus and Adesanya. But yeah, let me know what you think is next for Adesanya. Personally, I don't know what he's going to do. I've come up with 3 matchups. I think he's going to take a break, maybe come back late 2024. He said he's going to come back in 2027, but I know it's a joke. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Adesanya, what you think he's going to do next. Do you even care for Adesanya's career? But overall, yeah, thank you for watching.